it's time to work the sleeves that we've placed on hold. And step one is to transfer the stitches that are on hold, in this case on waste yarn, onto another needle. And I think that the needle to use is your 16-inch circular. This will make it easier to get all of these stitches onto the needle at one go. And later, not very much later, you'll be working with the double points to actually knit this sleeve, because the circumference, if you're making a baby size, is too small to fit around a 16-inch circular. But for this specific operation, transferring the stitches off of the waste yarn, the circular is going to be easier to use. The first step is to cut this knot off the bottom of the waste yarn so that it's open, and then you want to slip your stitches from the waste yarn onto the circular needle. It doesn't matter too much which direction you go for this, but since when you're knitting, you would, if you're looking at the sweater here, here's the underarm, and the bottom of the sweater is down here. If you're working the stitches, you will be going in this direction. So I think it makes sense to pick up the stitches in that direction too, just to kind of establish how it looks. You're looking at the right side of the work as you pick up the stitches, as you should be looking at the right side of the work when you are knitting the stitches. And you will go in purlwise, like always, for transferring stitches. This is so you will not twist your stitches. And I leave the waste yarn in until I've got all of the stitches on the needle, and until I have counted the stitches on the needle to make sure that I got the right number of stitches. Because once you pull that waste yarn out, there's nothing to hold a stitch if you have missed it and not picked it up with your circular needle. So I'm going around and around, just getting these stitches one by one, each and every stitch. Whoops. Try not, I almost split the waste yarn. Try not to do that because it will make it harder to remove. Now here, I know there's a stitch there, but it doesn't look like there's a stitch. It looks like this is the stitch, but this stitch does not have the waste yarn going through it. The stitch with the waste yarn is trying to hide, but you can bring it out of hiding by pulling up on the waste yarn, and then you see it above its friend. Same thing is happening here. I'll just take hold of the waste yarn, pull up, and then I have room to get into that topmost stitch. And this is the point at which you're going to want to count your stitches, make sure everything is on, and then secure the sleeve in your hand and pull the waste yarn out. This way the stitches are not going to go anywhere, but the waste yarn will come away. And now, step one is complete. The held stitches are now on a circular needle so that they can be worked.